As much as Red Bull had received heat in Austin for breaching the budget cap in 2021, Mercedes' new front wing, which was deemed illegal by the FIA, went unnoticed. And with that, may have cost the team from achieving their first race win of the season. So, what was so illegal about said front wing? And is Mercedes' chance of getting a win this season officially over? Well, let's talk about it then. But before we do, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on our latest uploads. Now that's out of the way, let's get started. Mercedes came into the US Grand Prix with a new front wing that caused a good amount of discussion in the paddock about whether or not it was legal and complied with the regulations. The said wing was set to debut this coming weekend at the Mexican Grand Prix, but was brought to Austin just as a free practice test in order to complete the team's correlation process. But the wing's peculiar appearance with a series of 5 separators seemed to have alerted at least one of the rival teams that then brought the issue up to the FIA. The normal process of any new piece brought to the car usually goes through the FIA's technical department in CAD form. Once the FIA receives this, the FIA can either approve of the component and its design or try to dismantle it and say why it does not conform with the technical regulations. But with that, the FIA's technical department does not have the final say regarding the matter. Ultimately, it'll be the race stewards who will have the final say, and that is what happened to Mercedes this past weekend. So, what was the controversy all about then? Was it all centered around the new slot gap separator arrangement and whether or not the aim of it is to maintain the gap between the two wing elements, or whether they are actually there to outwash more of the car's airflow around the tires? Of course, it can possibly be doing both of those, but if it is increasing outwash compared to standard wings, then it would be against the aim of the 2022 rules of creating cars that leave less aerodynamic disruption on their tail. Compared to the standard wing, where there are 3 separators, Mercedes' wing had 5 separators working further inboard, angled more outwards, and was physically bigger. After discussions with the FIA, Mercedes decided not to run with new front wing in Austin's practice sessions, though it hasn't been fully ruled out for Mexico this coming weekend. Mercedes technical director Mike Elliott commented in Austin, "Clearly there's a secondary benefit of an aerodynamic design, but the regulations, in this case, do not state sole purpose but primary purpose, so I think there is an argument to be had. Whether we want to have it is another question." But even with an upgrade that was put into question by the FIA, the upgrade package the team had brought to Austin as a whole served its purpose and gave the team a real fighting chance to snatch their first race win of the season. Austin didn't look great on paper a few weeks ago. Then we brought the upgrade and we are 6/10 off in qualifying, said Wolff, addressing the package as a whole. From our side, this weekend was a step forward for us and we showed encouraging performance. No doubt, Red Bull are still ahead of us, but I think we're getting closer to them and Ferrari, and that's a positive outcome for us. We brought an upgrade to Austin and we've seen that reflected in terms of car performance. Obviously, an unfortunate start for George Russell, colliding with Carlos Sainz, which I would classify as a racing incident. Lewis had a strong race today and was giving everything. He had a tire deficit on the hard because he simply didn't have any mediums to choose, and still holding on to a potential win felt feasible at that stage. But once Max was past Charles and he couldn't fight back, it was just a matter of time. But credit to Red Bull. I mean, they've done a mega job all year. Max was really strong, so them winning the Constructors' Championship today is what they deserve. The next F1 race will be the Mexico Grand Prix this upcoming weekend, and Wolff said they were looking forward to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez as the track suited their car and that a race win was still a possibility. Next up is Mexico, which we're looking forward to and hopefully can continue to show our performance. On paper, this should be a track that suits our car, but as we've learned this season, it can be a bit unpredictable where we actually stand in reality, Wolff added. But as Toto was elated by the team's performance and result in Austin, Lewis Hamilton would be quite the opposite, as he believes that the team has to be realistic in their expectations for the coming races. We really need to be realistic. The Red Bull car has been the fastest car by far all year, and it is still the fastest car, he said. It was great to have started third and been in position to fight, but on true pace, they've been ahead of us all weekend. They were on Sunday, and they will be the next 3 races. So, unless something drastic happens to any more of them, then it's highly unlikely that we will have the true pace to be able to compete with them. Hamilton would cite the deficit that Red Bull's Max Verstappen was in and still be able to win the race in such conditions as proof that Red Bull is undoubtedly untouchable this season. He had an 11-second stop, and he was behind Charles. That just shows how much pace they had in hand, he said. To have got past Charles and to have caught up 6 seconds and pulled 3 seconds ahead of me at least, that shows some serious speed. Most teams are shifting their focus to the next season by now, especially when Red Bull has officially won the Constructors' title. And Mercedes is no different, as Toto Wolff and the team are now recounting where they got it all wrong and how they will be able to rectify those mistakes in 2023. I think we understand more now what it is where we got it wrong with the car, said Toto. We could almost trace it back to a single decision last October. We thought we could run the car on the deck, but you can't. So it's a small level of hamster steps. As long as the trajectory is going up, even with little backlashes, I think we are on a good path. Mercedes will have the luxury of receiving more wind tunnel time as per regulations. Those who finish lower in the rankings will get more wind tunnel development time, an advantage that Red Bull had against Mercedes coming into the 2022 season. In all of 2021, we were the leading team, and then we won the Constructors' Championship, said Toto. So, for half of 2022, we had 7% less wind tunnel time throughout these 18 months to Red Bull, and much less than Ferrari. Now it will be the other way around. We're going to have 14% more as we finished third. So that, over time, is exactly what the regulations were designed to do and should give us some potential to eke back some of the advantage that Red Bull and Ferrari have. Lewis would also be optimistic of their chances for next season and say, "Through the year, we've made all the mistakes we've needed to make to build a stronger foundation for next year," he said. So, if we can get that car on par with these guys, I think we could have a really exciting year next year. And there you have it, guys. So, will Mercedes pull off a miracle win in the next 3 races? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't.